And we're back. It's Mike Cernovich from Gorilla Mindset, here to answer a tricky question. This is a hard one. One take, we'll see what we can do. In real life, it'd be a lot easier to show. But the question goes, Mike, I notice that you're very trustworthy. When I watch your videos, I feel like I trust you more than most people I know. And thank you. And he wants to know, how can you be trustworthy or be perceived by other people as being trustworthy? And the answer to that is, well, the reason I appear trustworthy is that I don't have anything to hide. And when you hide things or you're dishonest, it's going to manifest itself in unconscious ways. And when you do that, people can cue in on that. So let's assume you're honest. A lot of people are honest and they aren't cheaters, but they want people to believe them. How can you do that? One thing I would do is pick up this book. It's called Spy the Lie. Former CIA officers teach you how to detect deception. It's a pretty good book. I just read it. It's a little kind of basic for me, but if you're new to this kind of stuff, definitely read it. And even though I've read all these kinds of books and been a lawyer and dealt with liars for a living, I got value out of it. So yeah, pick this up. And what you want to do when you read that stuff is you always want to read a book sort of offensively and defensively. Offensively is, well, how can you tell if a person's lying to you? Well, look at that. Defensively is, well, how can you ensure that you're not giving off those same speaking patterns, same behavioral patterns? So what a lot of people do is, a lot of people are dodgy even when they're not dodgy, right? They just sound that way. They use expressions and pauses, and their speaking is weird. And that's going to come off as dishonest even if you're telling the truth. Because honesty and being perceived as being trustworthy is, there's a certain amount of confidence. For example, if you said, Mike, how much money do you make? Oh, well, how do you define money? And well, that isn't honest, right? Or Mike, how much money do you make? If I normally talk at this pace, right? We all have a kind of a pace in our speaking patterns and the way we talk. And you say, Mike, how much money do you make? $10 million a year. Well, is that honest or dishonest, right? But sometimes your speaking patterns changes just because a question catches you off guard. So you gotta be mindful of stuff. And you can pick up those tips in that book. And another thing too is body language. And I think we're gonna work on this at the Gorilla Mindset training seminars. So if you look at my body language and my posture, it's very open, right? Dodgy people have a very different body language. Dodgy people, they twitch a lot and they're closed in, right? Because when you're a liar, you unconsciously, right? Very hard to fight your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind doesn't want to lie unless you're a sociopath, which most of us aren't. Well, if you're lying, you kind of be like this, right? You're closed up a little bit. You're a little dodgy, a little twitchy, and you're leaning into the person, and it's kind of very predatory. So what I do before these videos, and this is natural to me, so it doesn't, I'm just open, right? I'm open to you, I'm open to the world, I'm open to the universe, I'm open to possibility, and because of that, I'm open, right? Think about this. I wrote a whole article on metaphors we live by and how a lot of the metaphors we talk about in our body are actually about our language and our thought. If I'm open physically, do you feel open? And when I look in, do you feel like I'm looking into your eyes, that we're connecting? Yes, well, people who are liars, they are afraid to make eye contact. But we make eye contact, my body's open, I'm completely, vulnerable to attacks. And because of that, we build trust. And I don't talk down to people. That's another way to build trust is, even though these are kind of like lectures, they really aren't, are they? It's very much a conversation. And a lot of that has to do with your language patterns, and a lot of it, too, is your unconscious. If you're really full of yourself, it will show. And only haters think I'm really full of myself. I'm pretty much like the rest of you, right? Maybe some of you aren't where I am. Maybe some of you are higher. But I've been everywhere. I've been up. I've been down. Right now, I'm, up again. So because of that, I'm not some condescending fucking prick, because I'm like, man, I've been where you guys are. I fucked up the same way you have. Even some of the behavior I kind of make fun of, I've done. And because of that, again, we're just open. You see how open my chest is? So when you talk to people, you want to avoid the real dodgy, twitchy, like you're on Adderall or something, behavior, because maybe you're on Adderall or too much caffeine, or maybe you're excited too. Another thing that is if maybe you meet somebody, you're connecting, you're really excited, and you're leaning in, but that can come off as a little predatory, and predatory behavior tends to be viewed as being dishonest. So again, just sit back, the good posture, the breathing stuff we all talked about in Gorilla Mindset, all that stuff. Again, that's why I say in Gorilla Mindset you develop better relationships with friends, with lovers. People say, well, there's nothing, there's not a chapter on relationships. Well, no, there isn't, but when I'm talking to you, I'm using those Gorilla Mindset techniques. Right now, when I'm doing a video, I'm not distracted by anything. My phone isn't on. My email isn't loading. Remember Gorilla Mindset, there's nowhere else I'd rather be, right? There's no one else I want to see than you guys right now. And when you go into a conversation like that, with that mindset, and you're open from the abundance posture poses, right? Then you're going to be more trustworthy because people think, wow, this person actually, gives a fuck. Because when you talk to most people, they don't give a fuck. They're just working an angle, right? We all know it. You're just like, fuck, what is this guy's fucking angle, That's most conversation. You're just waiting for the pitch. Well, when you talk to me, what angle am I working? What pitch? When you talk to people, you don't want to give off that vibe that you're just working some kind of angle. You have to make that person feel like the most important person in the world. And how do you do that? Good eye contact, open body language. There are other techniques. For example, you might want to look into mirroring people. M-I-R-R-O-R, like a mirror. I think there's a book called Mirroring People, actually. And the idea is, if I'm talking to you, and you're squared up like me, we're squared up, we're talking, well, if we're connecting, if I do this, you're going to kind of do that, right? It's like being in a mirror. Well, sometimes you have to take the mirroring first. So what you'll do sometimes when you talk to people is, a lot of people don't like to make eye contact for a long time, so they'll talk and then they'll kind of go off like this. Well, if you're noticing that and you're being conscious of the other person's body language, occasionally, pause. Then you're mirroring that person, and that person is going to feel more comfortable with you unconsciously, and then they're going to open up, and then you're going to have better rapport, and then you're going to have better connection, and then you're going to have more charisma, right? Because what is charisma? It's just connection. It's rapport. It's making that person feel like they matter. And if a person feels like they matter, the guy in the question said, I trust you, and I feel like if you wanted, money from me, I would give it to you, Well, I mean, just buy my books, I'd buy my books and click on my Amazon affiliate links. That's really all the money I want right now. If I do seminars, you can come to them. But the point is, if people feel a connection, they don't mind being marketed to. They want to buy your stuff. People have bought my juicing books that don't give a fuck about juicing because they know that I care about them and that I believe that they matter. When people feel that way, you don't have to sell them. You don't. You just say, hey, I'm giving to you. If you want to buy my book, buy it. If you don't, hey man, no hard feelings. I'm not going to, pitch, and do this and 50 different offers. So that's how you want to be trustworthy, right? Again, pick up that book. Be mindful of your body language. When you talk to people, make the person feels like they matter. Hey, if you're on your smartphone typing away, looking up on them, well, are you trustworthy? Because why are you even talking to that person? You're working an angle. People know it. You can fool dumb people, but you guys are smarter than average group by far. I'm not going to fool you. The kind of people that you want to be friends with, and the kind of people, the women maybe you want to have relationships with, they're not going to be dummies. So they're going to be a lot harder to fool. So quit working your angle. Be mindful. Treat the person like they matter. Focus on making that connection. Be conscious of your body language. Don't close up, because a lot of times you closed up just from shitty posture. And that's why you might seem dishonest even when you're not, because you're at a desk all day, and that's how you look dishonest because this is your posture. But when you sit back and you have better posture now, you're going to be perceived as more honest. So even if you are honest, people might not think you are, right? You got to understand that. And that's why you want to study dishonesty and make sure you aren't giving off those behaviors. Another thing, again, is mirroring is important. Learn how to look at the other person's body language, because a lot of times people are giving body language that says they don't even want to talk to you. And if you aren't mindful of that or conscious of that, you're going to miss it. And if somebody doesn't want to talk to you, then how can they be viewing you as trustworthy? That's my tips, guys. Thanks for the questions. This is day 5 of 30 videos in 30 days. Be sure to ask more questions. I'll just answer. Maybe if this is a success, we'll just do them forever. I can do a question a day for all my life. So keep asking the questions. Keep liking the videos, sharing them, and all that stuff. Thanks again. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mike Cernovich from Gorilla Mindset and DangerInPlay.com, and we'll talk soon.